One. Welcome to South Charlotte Sports Report live on a Monday, coming off of a beautiful weekend. A little bit of rain, but had a lot of great, exciting things going on. Very excited today. We've had a lot of big-time guests the last week and a half, from Secretary Mandy Cohen all the way through. So a lot of people in Mecklenburg County. And today, got Lee Jones, the Director of Parks and Recreation, with us. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine, Tripp. I hope you're doing well.
We're hanging, it's monotonous, I guess is the right word. Every day's Groundhog Day, but other than that, doing good, hanging in. Just actually came in from watching my son out working out on the baseball field just now. But tell me a little bit about Parks and Rec, how long you've been with Mecklenburg County, and everything that Parks and Rec composes.
Okay, well, I've been with Mecklenburg County Park and Recreation for over 16 years. And I worked in the capacity as being the director, and I was their first director of capital planning and alliance development services. And my job was to plan, design, and build all of our park and recreation facilities based on the needs and our capital needs assessment to provide public recreation opportunities for our residents and visitors. And then after about 14 years, I was asked to step up to the position of director, which I accepted, and I've been the director for about, maybe just over 2 years now.
Okay. Obviously, someone like myself knows pretty much what Mecklenburg Parks and Recs is, but explain to people how it's not just the baseball field they see in their, they might see at their local park.
Well, Mecklenburg County Park and Recreation, we operate like a business, like a private corporation, but we are a government department. I'm part of the County Manager Dina Diorio's cabinet and the County Manager's executive team. I report to directly to one of the assistant county managers, Leslie Johnson. And then the county manager serves at the pleasure of the Board of County Commissioners. So our job is to provide these recreation opportunities. We have over 22,000 acres of land, and we have parks, greenways, nature preserves, pools, ball fields, senior centers, special resources. And we're also the big brother or big sister, however you want to call it, to the 7 incorporated municipalities, including the city of Charlotte. We provide park and recreation services to them. And even though 5 of those 7 have their own park and recreation departments, we're basically in partnership with them for their programs and operations.
Right.
And our department is based on 4 divisions: planning and design, capital planning, nature preserves and natural resources, recreation center services, and maintenance and operations.
Okay. Over the last, we'll just go back 2.5 months ago, everything gets shut down, fighting this nasty virus, everything that goes through there. And then all of a sudden we come into phase 2 and we're hearing from the state about getting outside and the county and everyone else. And all of a sudden, a lot of athletic associations, a lot more than just Myers Park, Trinity Little League, and Dilworth. Those are just 2 that come to quick mind inside my area in South Charlotte. But find out that while they had been hoping to resume play, that's over with. Can we walk through that decision? Because I think no matter whether it's sports or anything with this whole entire coronavirus, the confusion of what can operate and what cannot goes way beyond sports. But explain the decision that you made, and we can get into why, and maybe folks can understand a little bit better.
Well, first and foremost, the most important thing to us as the providers of public recreation is the safety of our patrons and of our employees. And that's something that we have to do.
Right.
What we did when we first went into this COVID-19 pandemic is that we paralleled our reopening with that of the governor's. And so the governor's plan was a 3-phase plan: phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. Our start off as being a 5-phase plan, but we sort of merged that into a 3-phase plan so we could be as closely aligned to the governor's plan as possible. And so we went through phase 1. And so they said they would look at going into phase 2, in 2 to 3 weeks. So we get close to May the 8th, and the governor comes out and he says, and I'm paraphrasing.
Sure.
And so I said, based on how the numbers are tracking, they're actually tracking higher. We're having more cases. We're doing more testing. Some people say it's from that, but we see a trickle up. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a moderate to modified phase 2. And so instead of it going 2 to 3 weeks, it's going to go 5 to 6 weeks. So he stretched things out. Everything that was scheduled to be open did not open, but we made some key steps. We opened up a couple of things that weren't before. We gave more access to our tennis courts and to our pickleball courts. And we also opened up the driving ranges on our golf courses. And we also allowed people who are within the same family to ride together on golf courts, provided they exercise social distancing.
Right.
So I think that we've done that. So what we decided to do is to follow the governor's guidelines as it relates to mass gatherings and distancings, because it was modified. It went up to 25 people, but indoors is still 10, but you still have to stay 6 feet apart. So what we decided to do is, in looking at the size of what we have and the transition, we decided that we would open up our athletic fields for use and for people to use, but we're not allowing for athletic field reservations for organized sports or games, trainings, or practice at this time. And the reason we're doing that is because we want to see it phased, and we think that's best. We don't want to just run right out the gate and just try to do everything at once. So we don't want there to be a perception that we're trying to stop youth athletics or public use of these facilities. They're out there, but at this time, with those social gathering guidelines, it becomes difficult to enforce those if you have, an all-out game or, very structured practices. And you being someone that works with youth sports, you know how the games work and things along those lines. So it's kind of a fine line to walk, but our goal is to go through this phase 2. And as we get towards, I guess after it's been about 5 weeks, we want to be ready to step that up to the next level.
Okay. And I'm going to ask you the same question I've asked some of the other folks. Explain social distance and gathering.
Okay. Social distancing is maintaining a safe distance that's acceptable for the public, so people will feel comfortable being outside. The order is stay at home, but for the second phase, it's safer at home. So it's a moderate or modified guideline. So if you stay 6 feet apart and you take your proper safety protocols, and some of those are up to you, mask and gloves, hand sanitizer, that's fine. For gathering, you just can't have too many people in a particular area because of the way the virus travels. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a medical professional. I just listen to Dr. Cohen and I listen to our health department director. So we're trying to make sure we maintain those types of guidelines.
Right. It depends on who you ask as to what answer you get there.
Yeah,
I'm not
okay.
showing any disrespect towards your answer, but everything that I can gather is if you are socially distanced, you can't be gathered. But that's fine. Let's get on past that. I guess the tough part, and my son is past the youth age leagues. He is a high school baseball player, and he spent the entire weekend playing organized baseball tournaments in Mecklenburg County this weekend that ran like clockwork and just used all the recommendations that the large organizations have had, and it looked beautiful. I say beautiful. It looked different, but it was a lot safer than what we see at Walmart, and definitely some of the things we've seen on TV the last couple of nights for sure.
Absolutely.
But I guess that the people that I am hearing from involved with these recreation associations, they know that they're done. They know that as it currently stands, they cannot resume the spring league, which then leads to a refund, which is going to lead to close to bankruptcy or bankruptcy for many. And I guess the tough part there is, why is looking at a park and seeing a pickup basketball game with 10 people on the court, or a pickup soccer game, two sports that really probably aren't supposed to be resumed yet under the contact, no contact, happening in your parks, but an organized plan from a 60-year athletic association to follow all the safety guidelines nationally, why has that been deemed unsafe when the other stuff has been deemed safe?
Well, the things that have been approved are basically because there's a minimal amount of shared sporting equipment, is what I'm seeing. Secondly, we're not doing this in a vacuum. I'm on a call every Tuesday and Thursday morning with the North Carolina Recreation and Park Association, and with the National Recreation and Park Association, which are our professional agency. And our directors talk every Tuesday and Thursday about what we're doing and why we're doing it. We're not the only department in the state that have taken this approach. And you talk about, gathering, you can't have gathering and social distancing. Well, we inherently have that, if I misquoted you, I'm sorry. But we inherently have that in our facilities. You go into any restaurant, you'll see a sign, maximum occupancy is this, that. They'll even have a seating plan because they have to have a safe means of egress to get people out of there. So this is kind of a modified version of that long standard approach as to how you keep people safe. Now, as it relates to what we're planning on doing is starting in mid-June, we want to start taking reservations for our field use starting the weekend after the 4th of July. So as I said, we're gradually progressing to that. We're not prohibiting the use of the fields. We're just not reserving them for organized play. So if a group wants to go out and take folks out and exercise those guidelines and follow their own conscience as to how to do it, that's fine with us. We want people to recreate, but we want them to do it safely.
But a Myers Park Trinity or a Dilworth or whatever is not allowed to resume league play at one of your parks.
They can resume league play. They just cannot reserve the facilities. They can't say, I've got it for this time, because we have to look at the appearance of equity also. What if I have a group from my church? I've got 10 kids and I want to take them out to play, and I go, but I can't use the field at that time because someone's got it reserved. Even though they may not be using it, they have it reserved under their agreement. So that's why we think this approach will gradually get more people comfortable with being out within their own areas, staying out of each other's personal space, so to say, and through the guidance of amateur sports professionals like yourself and the groups that you work with, will be able to have this for the kids. So I'm hoping that sometime early, right after the first week in July, we'll be able to see something like this. That's a win-win for everyone. But that all depends on what happens with the CDC and with the disease.
Oh, yes, no doubt. So I guess the tough part, and I am not on either one of these boards. I am not on a recreation league board. So just straight up there, I'm just speaking from my own experience and whatever, and the fact that baseball is resumed in Mecklenburg County in an official capacity, just not at Mecklenburg County parks. Now, I know that it's also resumed at some of the smaller towns have their own parks, but that would be nothing that Mecklenburg could have governance over, correct? Like a Pineville.
We lease a lot of our parks to facilities. We may own a park, like in Huntersville, we own Bradford Park, but they operate it. And they operate it with our guidelines, but I know that they may be one of the jurisdictions that are limiting the type of play as best they can. Some of the smaller jurisdictions within the state, they're so small, they don't have the staff, so everything is done by a third party. And it's up to that third party to do it. That third party basically leases the facility the whole time. And so that's how they're able to operate. But we're seeing that at about maybe a 40 to 50% ratio for the entire state.
Okay, I got you. I guess the tough part there is just, I know that in the next day or two, a lot of these athletic associations that haven't already, the ones that are operated on CMS fields, and I know that is a different thing, and they kind of followed your decision, or at least they put that in their press release, to shut down and not allow access. They're going into refund mode, and it's going to be very difficult. What would you tell those folks at those associations that operate at Mecklenburg County parks? Should they just let the grass grow high, or should they keep spending their limited dollars to maintain the property as they do, or some guidance to those folks as to, if they make the decision this week to go ahead and refund and lower their budget to whatever amount, what should they do to their parks?
Well, I will tell you, we want them to work with us. They have maintenance and operation agreements with us for the operation of these facilities. And we have clauses in those agreements that protect them and protect the county in these unanticipated situations, such as relief on rent and things along those lines. But they're done on an individual basis.
Right.
Each contract is unique for that. We've already talked to two of the organizations today. And because one of them, I think, has an upcoming board meeting and providing information to them.
Yeah.
And we're going to sit down and we're going to do the best we can to work this out so that they don't have to go into bankruptcy. But we don't want this to say that this is, this is the end of the world. We're in the Revelation part of the Bible and so on and so forth. No, this will continue. We will get through this. And as you know, this may be a new normal for us. I'm hoping that this new normal is just going to be a reset. And we're going to be better at what we did.
Well, yeah, let's definitely hope so, because I can just think back to my times and your times and my son, when he was that age, oh my gosh, to not be able to play his favorite sport with his team. It's got to be a crushing blow. And I know deep down it's not the decision you wanted to make. It's a decision that you felt needed to be made, I guess.
We did, and we didn't do it in a vacuum.
No, I understand that. And I guess that's the confusion. So what is allowed right now? I know that your pools are open. And I know your pools are different from my neighborhood pool right over there that I saw 200 and some people at this weekend, which even Miss Gibby Harris told me the other day, if you go to a pool, stay in a pool. It might be the only place you're safe. So kind of a wild, I'm paraphrasing there, but that was essentially what she said there. So
we're going to open our pools in mid-June. We're going to open our aquatic center, Mecklenburg County Aquatic Center. We're going to open the Double Oaks Family Aquatic Center. So people will be able to go there. Right now, we're going to start off opening the aquatic center during the week, and we're going to open Double Oaks Pool on the weekends. And we'll have it set up so depending on if this distancing guidelines and gathering guidelines change, we'll be ready for that. This summer, a lot of the water-based facilities and a lot of jurisdictions aren't having anything. They've canceled all of their youth leagues and things along those lines, and we're not at that point, and we're hoping we won't have to go there. We're going to have modified camps this summer so that we can offer these programs, and they will be starting around June 15th or after that. And we're even going to have camps at our nature preserves and natural resources that will start after the 4th of July.
And I guess that's the difficult part is it's going to be safe for you guys to run camps, but it's not safe for an athletic association to run a baseball or a softball league. That's the difficult.
Well, you misunderstood what I'm saying, or maybe I didn't express it properly. As I told you, we're going to start accepting reservations, looking at reservations in the mid-June to see what happens as we get to the end of this modified phase 2. And if the Center for Disease Control, the governor, and Dr. Cohen say it's okay, and our health department director says it's okay, we're going to be ready to move to that level. And everybody will be able to enjoy the facilities as they see fit.
So maybe what an athletic association that uses one of your properties should do is maybe just hold on for a couple weeks.
I would say so.
That's hope. One of my next questions was offer some hope. You just offered hope right there. So that was some hope, and it for sure. Because I'm sure you're with me here. The tough part is just so many people having to give up their, mom, dad tells you, hey, just stay inside the next 2 months. We'll get back out there. We'll get the baseball season going, or softball, or whatever it is that you're into. And then bam, it doesn't happen. So I understand the difficulty. I'm very lucky in that my son played 3 baseball games this weekend in Mecklenburg County, and he will play a game tomorrow in Mecklenburg County and a game Wednesday in Mecklenburg County. I'm lucky from that aspect that we're associated with private facilities that can do that. So but I feel for the other folks. That's the difficult. And a lot of this, and it helps for you and I to be on here together because this whole thing has been confusing. The last 2.5 months of following what's okay and what's not okay, and seeing things that we see with our eyes and wondering why we can't do this. But I would just leave you with my thoughts from playing at a baseball tournament this weekend.
Okay. That
it can be done properly. And as a parent, I had no worries over what I saw out there on the ball field. Mm-hmm. And I know that in some private places throughout the county and Union County and other places, they have resumed games in a recreational league format. It can be done. They need a plan. Everybody that I've advised, get a plan, stick to it, adapt. Don't try to get around the rules. And that's probably the best path to resumption.
Trip, I think you said it very well with that. And I think we're going to be able to do it. We're going to still be able to do those things, but we're just going to have to take a few more precautions and maybe do them in a slightly different way. But it'll be the quality of what we do that's going to really protect our welfare and allow our kids, particularly youth sports, to participate and prosper as we want them to.
Yeah, it's we all have a soft spot for kids. There's no doubt about that. You wouldn't be in your job if you didn't, and we just want them doing what they enjoy, because I don't think anyone's been hurt as a group as much as children have throughout this whole thing. And that is not discounting what has happened to folks in nursing homes and things like that. I'm not going down that kind of comparison. I'm just saying that it's been extremely tough on our children, especially from a mental health aspect. And
well, I will tell you, I went out today. I went over to Carmel Road Park. I went to, oh God, I can't think of the name of it. Park right here up on 51.
Davies Park.
William R. Davie Park.
Yeah.
And there were people out there on both of the fields. They were practicing in groups. They were running drills, and they were kids.
Yeah.
People were out there with their kids. They were out there with kids playing lacrosse. So it's not that people have to stay inside.
Now, you don't want to play in lacrosse just yet. Miss Cohen's gonna get mad if you say that.
Well, they're out there, and that's
a contact one. Now. Be careful.
They were practicing.
Okay.
They were doing drills.
Okay.
They didn't have helmets and all that stuff on. And it's the whole thing, like the whole thing with baseball. The one argument somebody says is that baseball is a contact sport, in their opinion, but it's not a collision sport like football or something like that. You have to tag someone and all of that. So is it like flag football when you're doing it, how these private groups are doing it? As long as they're coming up with such a way that it minimizes the physical contact and the chance for the virus to pass, I think they're doing a good job.
Do you sponsor or run any tackle football programs in Mecklenburg County Parks and Rec?
I think we work with organizations that do that. We'll have flag football.
Okay.
Is what we have. We'll have
that's probably the $1 million question. What in the world is going to happen with football from across the board? And boy, I don't have an answer there, but I know whatever it is, they're going to have to adapt to something.
Well, I think modified flag football will probably be it. When I was growing up, we played football. Nobody played gloves. You didn't have gloves.
Oh, you didn't have all that stuff, did you?
But now people are playing in gloves, so maybe they'll have that, and you pull one of the flags off or both of them off, and the guy who's running the ball is stopped. You minimize the contact. And contact's been a problem with kids with these neck injuries and things like that for a while. So like I said, this is a big reset for all of us, but it doesn't mean that all the sports are going extinct. I'm in the recreation business. We got to have it.
Man, listen, you want to talk about being a business. I'm in the youth sports business, and I'm on zero for 2.5 months. So I'm ready for something to get going. This is not what Trip Oaks and South Charlotte Sports Report ever envisioned would happen. I need things going again so that I'm working just as hard, but doing things that non-revenue. How's that?
Well, Trip, I'm working harder than I've ever worked in my 16 years of park and recreation, and I'm working from home. But I will tell you this, we want to work with you and organizations like you to make this happen and to keep it happening. And I think we can do that if we get on the same page and we learn from each other, because there are things that that may enhance what we feel needs to happen.
And I'm here. I am here to offer a voice at any time. I've been doing this for 16 years, so I am. Or same amount of years. Yeah, I'm here to offer a voice, and I see a lot of things. And yes, my family background is baseball, but I'm involved in every single sport. I write about every single sport, and I care about student athletes in every single sport. And it's been my pleasure to have you here. I think it helped people get a little bit better understanding. I know that was the case with my interviews with Dr. Cohen and Gibby Harris and some of the other folks we've talked to. And I'll get back to talking to the student athletes tonight. But thank you so much for joining us. I wish you the absolute best. And there's going to come clarity at some point. And one day we'll have everybody back playing the way that they should be.
Trip, thank you so much. Thank you for this opportunity. You be safe and you be well, and keep on doing the good things that you do for our youth.
All the best to you. This has been Trip Oaks with Lee Jones today. Thank you so much for joining in. Have a great night.